Welcome back to the Mandela Effect Tonight Show. Sean Indigo here. Sorry. All right. Shall we spin the wheel? Let me find my little mirror here. Okay. Let's see what we got. A couple of the categories are used up, so I'll just go to the one to the right if I land on a duplicate. So we have the Matrix. The Matrix. All right. So this would be attributes of this physical reality. Okay. There was a physicist slash scientist slash philosopher, whatever you want to call him, but Zeno, all right, Zeno, Zeno. That was the dude's name. It's actually short for a longer one. But if you look up Zeno motion paradox, there's a lot of information out there. I was first exposed to Zeno and his motion is impossible philosophy or idea when I was a senior in high school. I was taking physics 2, and the first chapter was quantum mechanics. Very interesting. First time I was ever exposed to that information. But yeah, and it's so funny that when I was in high school, we were learning that this guy Zeno was saying that physical motion is impossible, and I would like to tell you about his logic because it's very interesting when you think about the logic he is using. Okay. His main thing was that you must arrive at the middle if you're going to travel from one point to the next. You're going to travel a certain distance. You must arrive at the middle before you arrive at the end. That makes sense, right? If you were going to go a mile, you would have to pass the half mile point at some point before you'd be able to get the full mile. So to travel 20 feet, you would have to travel halfway first. You have to travel 10 feet before 20, right? It's just basic logic. So, but here's the thing. You can you can cut in half over and over and over again. You can get the distance smaller and smaller. So to travel an inch, you got to go half an inch first. To travel a millimeter, you have to go half a millimeter first. To travel 1/1000th of an inch, you'd have to go halfway first. And you can cut the distance down pretty much infinitely. You can keep cutting it smaller and smaller. So you can just no matter how small you get, you can keep cutting it in half. I know some people will say there's absolutes. I don't know if there's absolutes to that, but in theory, you can cut it down smaller and smaller and smaller forever, so you can never actually get started moving because you'll never actually be able to get to that halfway point. So it's just something to think about. All right, guys, let's spin the wheel. See what we got next. All right. Personal Mandela effect. Personal Mandela effect. All right. Quick one and then a slightly longer one. Quick one is that there are people out there who have vivid memories of going to Disney World in Florida. Disney World. And entering the Magic Kingdom through the castle. That's not part of this timeline, but there are people who experienced that. All right. And then the other one is this is a story that someone shared, and it was these two guys. Well, yeah, two guys, and they were reminiscing about a childhood experience that they shared. It had to do with a daycare. So they were like the 11, 12-year-old age ish. Just they're still too young to like be on their own when their parents are working, but they're kind of old for daycare, so they were like, some of the older kids at the daycare. Okay, these two friends. They were adults. They were both in town for whatever reason. They were both in where they grew up, and they wanted to kind of go down memory lane. And they hit their daycare that they used to be at. And they got to the daycare, and there was this wall that kids are allowed to write on. and doodle and stuff. And it was a big wall, and you could like it's kind of like think of like a wall where everyone can go in and find their name on a big giant like whatever. It's kind of one of those, and you could like draw different things. And over the years, there'll be more and more added to it. It was pretty like a collage. And well, anyway, so they get there and they saw this like picture that they drew back then. They both drew a picture. Now, I guess there was rules around when you can and when you can't like do it, and you had to basically they did that picture when they weren't supposed to, right? So they're like, hey, you remember that picture? And the friend was like, yeah, I remember that picture. Now here's where it gets weird. One of the friends remembers getting in trouble, big trouble. I don't know why big trouble, but they got in big trouble for drawing that when they weren't supposed to, or in the wrong place. They fucked up somehow. They did something they weren't supposed to do, and they got in big trouble for it from the teacher. The other friend says, "What the fuck are you talking about? We got away with that. We did it when we were supposed to, but then no one found out." Totally contrasting memories. It's not a memory of like, is this word spelled with this letter or that? It was like night and day. All right, guys, I'll spin the wheel and see what else we get. All right. All right, Berenstain, we don't have that anymore, so story time will be the next one. So story time it is. All right. This happened to me a while back. I was on vacation with some friends. We were in a campground. We had tents set up, and there was one night I was in a bad mood. It was over somebody that I had feelings for, but maybe they didn't have them back, type of deal. So I was just off that night. We were playing I was playing Monopoly with a friend, and I just wanted the damn game to end. I wanted the Monopoly game to end, but I figured I wouldn't quit in the middle of it, try to help my friend out and finish it, but I was just, not in the mood. So at one point, I had one Monopoly. If you're not familiar with Monopoly, I'm not sure what to tell you. You just have to look it up. But I had one set of properties, so I had 3 hotels. I had one of the streets, not the street, but one of the properties, one of the monopolies. So I had hotels on 3. My friend owned pretty much the whole rest of the board. Things were going great. This game's going to be done soon. Every freaking time I rolled, I would land on something that wasn't his. He had all these properties, houses and hotels everywhere, and I would always land on the like free parking, the free jail thing, the pick up a card, land on my property, land on go. I would not land on his properties, and he kept landing on mine over and over again. What the fuck? About an hour later, I had won. I wanted to lose, and I was hell bent on losing. But yeah, and somehow, the odds of that happening were pretty slim. Again, I had one set, 3 properties. He had all the rest of the board almost, and I somehow won. Couldn't believe it. All right, guys, we'll spin the wheel. See what we get. Berenstain. So again, story time. Okay. This will be a short one. I was about 10 years old. There was a neighborhood friend, but he's sometimes a bully. But at 10, 11 years old, you get some bullying, nothing too terrible. Just some normal 10, 11, 12-year-old bullying stuff. So anyway, he was bigger than me, and sometimes he would like push me down or whatever. And it wasn't like we were like, fighting or punching or using weapons or anything terrible. Just normal, I would say normal 11-year-old bullying type stuff. And we were friends most of the time, but every now and then he would, show off his I'm stronger side, whatever. So anyway, but my best friend was the biggest kid in the neighborhood, so it wasn't like I had too much to worry about because he would have my back. So I was in my front yard of my parents' house, The kid that I was friends with that would bully me sometimes was on the other side of the yard, about 50, not 50, I'd say like 30 yards away, about 25, 30 yards away. And then my buddy, he was there too. He was a witness. I doubt he'll remember this. It was such a random thing so long ago. But so my friend who would bully me sometimes started running towards me. I don't know. I had a little kid, 10-year-old Zen moment. I really don't know what happened. I'll tell you what happened, but it's hard to believe it happened the way it did. Nothing crazy, nothing too weird here. But what happened was, as he's running towards me, I just stood there. I just stood still. I was just standing there facing him. As he got closer, I lifted my right foot up in the air, yeah, about a foot and a half off the ground. That's all I did, and I just held it there. He ran in. He ran into my foot, and it hit his like knee. He didn't get like injured, but it hurt him enough temporarily where he was down for the count, holding his leg. Oh, he was in pain for like a good 3 minutes. Like he was okay after, but talk about like unexpected. I didn't even think. I just like he was running towards me. I just lifted my leg up, all nonchalant, boom, and he's down for the count. It was a very like Zen, like I don't know what to call it, little kid ninja moment. So that was interesting. All right, we're a bit long on time, so we'll call it for now, and I'll see you again soon.